And we're still, it's the only, that's what they say. Youth is wasted on the young. Only the over 40s know to come and learn every night. But we have one guy under 40, Bernie. He's under 140. He drives less than 40 miles an hour usually. Anyway, I have to hear him laughing. I muted his laughing. It's not worth it. Anyway, we have half a minute. I don't want to start, God forbid, before the masses come in to hear. We don't want them to lose out. Today was a special day for me. It's the first time. I don't know if you noticed, I'm wearing a little nicer hat. I'm wearing a tie. I went to a wedding for the first time. It's a little emotional. First time in 6 months, I went to a chasna.
Wow, where was it?
It was in, I didn't even go. I'll tell you how much I went to give you an example. It was in the Doubletree Hilton. You've been there. And it was a small crowd, but I only came for the chuppah. I didn't mingle. I didn't eat the smorgasbord. I didn't go to the chasnas tish. I sat on the side with my mask. I can't say that everyone was trying to. I just went up to get my kibbud. I said I was afraid of COVID, but I did pursue the COVID.
That's funny.
COVID, despite COVID. So,
COVID Rosh.
COVID Rosh, yes. So I went, I read the Ksuba, and that was it. And I told the Kala, I like her mask. I would love to have one of those. She was wearing a veil, obviously. I said, we need to get more of those types of masks. Yeah. So it was really, I'm in a good mood. I'm a real jovial mood, even though it was mixed feelings, because you want to dance, you want to hug, you want to kiss, you want to, but Baruch Hashem, to be able to be at someone very close to.
Nothing.
What?
Better than nothing.
No, for sure. And it's someone, it's a Talmud of mine, yet from the family. The girl is the 6th of 10 children getting married. And the father of the Kala, I knew yet in my earliest days from 83 already. I knew him in 1983. Jordan Wiener, if you know Jordan Chanalea Wiener. Okay, so it was really amazing. I also, I'm not boasting, I'm just telling you how much I'm connected. That's why I'm excited. But that's why it's frustrating, because I'm like family, and I didn't stay. The first shidduch, the first daughter, I made the shidduch for the first daughter, the first of the 6 of the 10 mitzvah Hashem. But so it's a very special day. So I'm very happy that I was able to at least participate in the simcha. And even though I didn't come out too good in the pictures, because all they saw was my eyes and my fuzz sticking out of the blue mask, but whatever. So much for COVID. Okay, COVID, all that. Okay, so I'm just going to, today's the last day we're going to, not do Chizuk, the last day we're going to devote to, I know it's Dvarim. Just going to quickly, want to share a few things. Quickly, the last chapter he has here, I didn't go every single one. A lot of them are very trivial and simple that we can figure out on our own. It's for kids. But the last, as much as it's for kids, we all need to hear it. He says, the opposite of I know is Dvarim, causing someone pain, is to give someone a compliment. He says, let's use our mouths to give someone life by giving him a compliment. Giving someone a compliment with a smile can change a person. The person who's in a bad mood will usually get into a good mood when hearing a compliment. There's so many times where people thinking of stopping to continue their job, but when someone gives them a compliment, they change, maybe they keep going on. The compliment gives the power to people to accomplish great things by seeing that their work is acknowledged, appreciated, and loved. He brings here a story from Rabbi Lepian. Rabbi Sharon Stern brings this in one of his books, that when he was learning in Kelm, he was wondering how the Rebbetzin of Simcha Zissel, the out of Kelm, had the kaiches to work for a supportive family, raise the children, and also take care of the physical aspects of the yeshiva. At first, he thought that what gave a chizuk was that she was the wife of the Gadol Hador. But after a while, he found out the real reason. Okay, all of us men, the women will smile when I say this. This was when he ate the Suda Friday night at the house. After they washed, Rav Simcha Zissel made a maitzi, ate a piece of challah that the Rebbetzin had baked. He then told his wife, I'm chayshish, I suspect that I was supposed to make a mezainis on the challah. It tastes as delicious as cake. From seeing how the Alter of Kelm would compliment his wife, from seeing the honor that he gave her, it was no surprise how she had the kaiches to continue doing it all. Then he goes through a whole list. And he's talking to kids. He says, thank you, Rebbe and Mora, for what they do in class. Thank you, camp directors, the head counselors, for spending 10 months of preparation, even though they make a lot of money. Thank you, I added that. Thank your parents for everything they do, laundry, making meals, going shopping. Tell your mother this chicken tastes yummy. Thanks for thinking of me when you went shopping and bought me my favorite chocolate. You went to a share. This is I hold from I try my best to do it also. You went to a shir, you enjoyed it, you wrote it down, you recorded it, tell the speaker how much you enjoyed it. Very often, people think that rabbis, I mean, I'm not soliciting for compliments, but people think rabbis, they don't need it, they know. I'm telling you, whenever I hear a Rav say something, I can't do it every single one, but when I hear something really, I'll call them up or I'll send them an email, and you have no idea. People appreciate it. I know people, when people tell me, I appreciate it. So and I'm sure all of us, Mechanchim, know that. We think, the big principle, when someone validates and, you put the effort and they acknowledge it, there's nothing to boost you to keep on going like that. Comment your parents, your sibling, your friend on the nice haircut, nice shoes, shirt, watch. Doesn't have to be anything, just everybody wants to hear something good. Comment your sibling, your friend, when you see she got a good mark on a test. Tell your friends about your friend's mind list when you go to your friend's house to play. Compliment the parents about their child's good behavior and give them a bracha. You tell parents and you see someone that does something. I try often, the boys from Chabad, they have like the 17, 18-year-old kids. When we used to have shal shooters, remember, we used to have shal shooters in shul. Remember the ancient times. And they used to send these kids, some of them are so articulate. You see, they grow up in homes that the parents, raise them from the childhood to be, expressive and articulate and personable. And I very often, I reach out to their parents, I don't know them. Every parent loves to hear a compliment about their child. Thank the Chazan for davening. Tell them that. Tell them how you enjoy the davening. Thank the Balkaire for the hours to memorize, and especially in our shul. We have so many minyanim, especially now, and trying to get people to lane. And it's an amazing contribution that we make to the shul, and it deserves, they deserve a compliment. Kamran is not so good at sports, how he's improving. Compliment Yechavrusa on the question of pshat that he says. Tell him that it's a great question. I really enjoyed the pshat that you said. And let's just simply show people they exist and we're thinking of them. And he gets over here. We'll conclude with this story. I have another few stories I want to share. We have a few minutes. It says, Rabbi Zalman Meltzer, the Rosh Yeshiva Eitz Chaim, he was the father-in-law of Rabbi Aaron Kotler. Rosh Yeshiva Eitz Chaim once visited Rabengis. Rabengis was the Rav of Yerushalayim. He has children. Rabengis has, I think it's the, what's the name of the family that's here in Baltimore? The Bengis' children is, you would know. What's the name? Elaine, the Vitzik. Vitzik was I think a grandson or a son-in-law of Rabengis or something like that. The Vitzik family and all their children. Anyway, Rabengis was so he was a Rav of Yerushalayim. They both learned together in Yeshiva Volozhin by the Netziv. During their conversation, Rabbi Zalman told him that his entire success in Ruchnius is in the schus of Rabengis. When Rabbi Zalman arrived at Volozhin Yeshiva, he realized there was a sharp difference between the way he and other brachim looked. He had a poor look, dressed in ragged clothing, and Sabatka, was a Volozhin. Some people were very, very, upstanding. He decided the next day he was going to return home. The Netziv, realizing that he felt different, came over and asked him a question learning. He told him an answer which the Netziv really liked. The next day, Rabengis came over to Rabbi Zalman Meltzer, who was a young, scraggly kid, complimented him by telling him how much the Netziv really amazed with his answer. This compliment caused him to remain in yeshiva and grow in Ruchnius, and they say the rest is history. Someone lent me, Yossi Friedman, he's my provider of books. There's a book came out of Reb David Trang. It's called Just Love Them. That was his motto in life. He was a remarkable individual. I had the schus of going to Camp Monk as a kid. And even though I wasn't old enough to really picture, I remember he was an exciting guy, but he went on to have yeshiva for kids who were sort of the ones who were disillusioned, the ones felt disenfranchised. And there's a whole book about how he inspired so many people. But I'm going to read you a few stories. We have some time. I marked off a few that really emphasize this idea. It says there was a young man who arrived in Adelphia. It was a famous yeshiva in its time. It was early. Today there's a lot of yeshivas, but then it was probably the only one of its kind of kids who just couldn't learn. They couldn't keep up in par. They didn't want to wear hats and jackets. They just weren't. It was before what we call kids at risk, but there were kids at risk, no question. There was a young man who arrived in Adelphia after being sent away from several yeshivas. He spent Shabbos with the Trank family and enjoys his time there very much. Though he had no intention of joining yeshiva, late on Sunday morning, Mrs. Trank, his Rebbitzin, told him to go. Reb David, my husband, Reb David is giving a class. So at least you'll keep yourself busy till you leave. With little else to do, he went over to yeshiva. Reb David was teaching Chumash. After close to an hour of sitting silently, this boy, who was the reject of so many yeshivas, asked a question. Reb David stopped and looked at the Bachar in awe. He said, ask that again, he commanded. The Bachar repeated the question. Reb David started jumping down. He was the type, Reb David Trenk used to jump up on the table if he was excited about something. And ecstatic with the Kusha, he really was. He says, I'm teaching this Parsha for decades, and no one, Mamish, no one has ever asked that question before. He exulted and then insisted that they call the Bachar's father right away, and there and then, and repeat the question. For the very first time in the young man's life, the Mechanech was calling his father to say something nice. He remained in Adelphia, growing tremendously and learning. Reading wasn't easy, but using different ages, the Bachar started learning Masechtas, finishing Masechta Yavamis. You keep going, you give me such chizuk, and the Talmud eventually married, took a position, how about the story, giving his Rebbe great nachas. And and he says like this, he says, when Rebbe Trenk, he died, he had cancer at the end, he was very weak, and he left the young man broken, who was mourning over his Rebbe. A few weeks after the Levaya, the Talmud received a gift from his father. It was the father who gave up hope on him. It was a large package wrapped in paper. With trembling hands, the son opened. The present was from his father. It was a beautiful portrait of Rabbi Trenk, a long-awaited expression of love from father to son, inspired the man of love. Just loved him. And then he brings here another one. He brings another story, another two stories. It's so geschmack. There's so many. I can read the book to you endlessly. He says, Shmuel, this is an amazing story. The brilliance is smart and just persistent. It's not like a one-time thing. You'll hear the story. Shmuel was a sweet young boy, popular with friends, well-behaved in school and at home. Till the middle of 8th grade, he thought he was an ordinary boy. When it came time to find high school, he had a rude awakening. No one wanted him. It wasn't that he wasn't polite or sincere. It was just that learning didn't come to him easily. And he didn't grasp ideas as quickly as other boys. In elementary school, he hadn't known this, but when he started to take acceptance within various Masiftas, it became clear. Sorry, your son is a fine boy, but not what we're looking for. Turned out that he wasn't okay. He was weak, or struggling, or delayed. Each one used a different word. Then he was introduced to Rabbi Trenk, who let him know that it would be an honor to have him in the yeshiva. A Bachar like you would make the whole yeshiva better, he said. Rabbi Trenk had a special seder with this boy every day. They would learn a half an amud of Gemara together, the very same amud, a half amud every single day. It's a Gemara bracha. So I'm going to read you the Gemara. It's important. It's a day that Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah was appointed as Nasi in place of Rabbi Gamliel. There was a battle, there was a debate, and it was a complication. Rabbi Gamliel was booted, and Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah took his place. That's when he says, Harei Anika ben Shim Shana. The Gemara tells how several benches were added to the Beis Medrash because he changed the policy. Rabbi Gamliel only said Talmidim who are their inside as good as their outsides. Their outsides as good as their insides, but those who are not so good, he didn't let. But Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah let them in. And he used to have a guard. Rabbi Gamliel had a guard, didn't let them in. Rabbi Elazar said, get the guard, everyone in. When Rabbi Gamliel, he was so upset that he saw that so many Talmidim came into the Beis Medrash, it was filled. Perhaps he said, Chas v'shalom, I held back Torah from Klal Yisrael. That night he had a dream, and in the dream he saw an image of white jugs filled with ashes, alluding to the fact that the insides of the new students was not perfect. And his reasoning was in fact maybe correct. But the Gemara says no, but that's not the case. Even though it was some sort of a solace to him, but the Gemara says, but it really wasn't true. He says the dream was shown to him only to ease his mind, not so he shouldn't feel bad, but not that the Gemara really agrees that you got to take all the kids in. Rabbi Trenk would conclude by shouting out the Gemara's conclusion, V'lohi hahi liyatuve daite de hu the achazole. He ends the Gemara says this that Rabbi Gamliel was sort of justified. The Gemara says it's not true. It was only just to cause him to calm him down. But the Gemara says it's clearly that he was wrong. And every boy that comes, no matter who he is worthy of being in the Beis Medrash. He wanted the Talmud to live with this Gemara his whole life, to understand that Torah belongs to everyone, even or to those who had a hard time. In reality, Torah is everyone. This is the Gemara. David learned with this Talmud every single day until they both were able to recite it by heart. The daily Chavrusashaft continued for several years. Once a day they would speak, learning that same Gemara every day, just to reiterate. Often, Reb David would finish the Gemara and say with relish, "Give the boys a chance. Just give the boys a chance." Okay, we're going to leave with that, and then I'm going to leave you one more story. Here it is. One more story. This is an amazing story. Okay, here we go.
I ask you one question.
Yeah.
So was that when Hillel got to learn inside the yeshiva?
No, that's a different story. That's a different story. That's a different one. He didn't have the money to pay to get in, not because he wasn't a worthy Talmud, and he had to go to the window. That was a much different kufa. This is different. And so just briefly, because we're running out of time. Oh man, So it goes like this. Rabbi Trenk attended by mitzvah of a boy who was known to be mischievous, somewhat challenging at home and in school. The speaker said the bar mitzvah spoke only about potential. I always say, when I was a principal, I said, potential is a dirty word. No kid in the world wants to hear that he has potential. They want to know that you love them for who they are, and they don't want to hear the word potential. It's the worst word in history. That's my personal feeling. And he says, speakers are so bad. Potential pointed, and they pointed to his older brothers, who were model students, all of them as proof. The bar mitzvah boy, he was pained by the inability to find a single nice thing to say about him. Slipped off the dais and went into the lobby with his friends. Rabbi Trenk noticed, and he followed him inside. Standing in the middle of the lobby, his loud voice, he was crazy, man. Rabbi Trenk was crazy. He would scream out, echoing off the walls, Chaim, Chaim, why didn't you ask them me to speak about you? I could have told them about your geschmack for life, your warmkeit and strength. I would have spoken how loyal you are to your friends, how you take everyone around you, your goodskeit, your goodness. I don't understand why they didn't ask me to speak Chaim. He would often get up to speak at Simchas, feeling that no one had paid speaker the proper tribute by Simcha. No one asked me to speak, he would get up, but this needs to be said, and he would go ahead and say. In his own family as well, when speaking, he would mention bar mitzvah boy's siblings, celebrating each one before climaxing with the bar mitzvah, making sure that no one was made to feel good at the expense of another. And yeah, here it is. Not only a Simchas, a young Lakewood father passed away suddenly, and the Levaya was painful and heart-wrenching. Speaker after speaker addressed the son of the nifter, a struggling teenager, telling him how he would have to rise up to the occasion and continue his father's way. Unasked, Reb Trenk jumped up after one hesed and gave a drush of his own. The nifter had a schus. What a special young man he left over. What a great boy. I know how he learns. I know how he davens. His father was so proud of him, and he's so proud of him, and he will be proud of him. Reb Trenk hugged the new orphan and sat down. His message complete. Okay, there are a lot of other stories. You could buy the book. I don't get any royalties, but it's a great book to read. It's an easy one. It's a small one. Just love them. It's great sharing. I'm in a good mood today, so we should all give each other a compliment and give your spouses, your children, your parents, whatever it is. We should just keep on giving comments. Thank you. I thank the audience. It's so loyal. You give me life every time I come here every day. It's my highlight of my day, including Zach. Zach, I finally got it. I remember to do it. You finally got into me. I finally got the lesson. You're the best teacher in the world. You're such a nudnik that I got it at the end. It says, Akshen Yatzliach. The Vilna says, if you're stubborn, you'll be Matzliach. So you succeeded. Thank you for being a nudge, and I appreciate it, Zach.